welcome to this little panel we have going on about Permaweb and content. Before we start, I think it's best that we introduce everyone, right? Pierre,
Okay.
would you like to introduce yourself real quick?
Yeah. Hi there. I'm Pierre from Permaweb News, former Arweave News. We're a community-driven media outlet that it's covering mainly the Arweave ecosystem. And we're doing this consistently for some years now. I don't know.
Thank you very much, as you have been doing that for a few years, always trying to give the news. Whatever happens in Arweave, generally Permaweb News gives the first insight on that. Tom, would you like to give a quick intro?
Sure. My name is Tom Wilson, and I'm a founder in residence at Forward Research, and I work on the stamp protocol and the UCM.
Thank you very much. Troy?
Hi everyone, my name is Troy, the co-founder of Readon. Readon is a content aggregator web built on Web3 and also on Arweave. Like we store an index of content on Arweave. It's my second time to be here, and all the new friends. Happy to see everyone.
Yeah, this is actually our second year doing this in Singapore. Hopefully we'll have a lot more going, but this is the second one. Would you like to go and give a quick intro?
Yeah, I'm Cesar Lynch. I just give the speech.
Yeah. You know, maybe you want to give some extra information that maybe they don't know.
Oh, yeah. So I'm currently work as a full stack engineer, and just to say that I'm in charge of technical part. So on this respective, I'm maybe give some. I found Arweave very interesting, and we are very actively working with Arweave to integrate with them.
Thank you very much. All right, so let's dive right into it. It's going to be a quick panel. We'll start off with question number 1. Right, we'll see who wants to answer first. What's the significance of permanent storage for the decentralization of content? Sorry. How does it shape content collaboration within the Permaweb and other blockchain ecosystems? I think Tom can start with this one.
Sure. Thanks, Romain. Yeah, permanent storage is extremely significant. If data goes away, it doesn't matter how decentralized it is because it's not there. So having confidence that when you store data, that it's going to be there forever, really plays a huge part in the role of decentralization. As far as part 2 of the question, how does it shape content collaboration within the Permaweb and the blockchain ecosystem? So content creators can use many different Web3 platforms, but there's only a very few places where you have decentralized storage. And there's only one place that I'm aware of that you have permanent decentralized storage. So it's a natural fit regardless of where you hold your contracts and your tokens, that your data should reside on Arweave.
Who agrees with that? Anyone?
Okay. I'm imagining the apps in general like trees.
Like trees, you said?
Yeah, like trees. So imagine that you have a Web2 application. Right now, you have the full tree, you know, the branches, the leaves, but probably in a day, a week, a year, 5 years, the entire tree will disappear. Then you have the usual Web3 D app that is using Polygon, or I don't know. And you will have in time only the branches without any leaves. Leaves being the actual data. I mean, you will have all the metadata stored on chain, but it will point to a blank page, basically. And Arweave comes in this picture to actually create this permanent tree. You can have the entire branches and so on whatever chain you want, and you will have the guarantee that all these leaves, all those data points, will actually be there forever too. And yeah, that's for me somehow summarizing the importance of data permanence into the context of the other blockchains, the web in general.
Any comments on that? Troy, maybe?
Yeah, I think in general, content is a field or industry in Web3 is underestimated and less developed right now. Like people talking about social networks like GameFi, DeFi, but content kind of less a flashy or trending term. But if we think about that, like all the social networks, there are different formats of content, like connecting people. Like Twitter is like a forum of short content. TikTok is a site for like video content. Like Facebook, probably content focusing about your friends' updates. So every different social network is a different formats or different kind of ways to connecting people with content. So I think like content is actually the core to building the next part of the Web3. So we think like both Redon and I think a lot of people are doing here, or the people in this panel are like building on into the content ecosystem. And for the decentralization of that, I think content is very different with assets in general. Like assets is relatively stable, fixed. Its ownership is clear, it's finite. But content is a piece of information out there. Once information is public, you actually cannot set the ownership of the information because everybody already knows the content. So we need like a copyright actually with the content. But what does copyright mean? Because one of the things is already there and is kind of hard to determine like who actually owns what about the piece of like content over there. It needs the history to change because content change over time. It evolved. Like all the great content creators, they learn from the other people to create their work. So what we need to here is actually create a history of the changing phases, different parts of the content. So I think like this is where either the decentralization of the permanent web come help here. You can create a decentralized, permanent like a history of each piece of content like we have been created so far. And to think about content is actually the base unit of our culture, it's the base unit of our humanity. And I think it actually deserves a better story idea. I think Permaweb is probably a great fit here.
Yeah, I saw you agree with that. So,
Yeah, I
anyone?
agree with it. So for our topic, education, so everyone here has your own certification, right? Primary school and high school, college. Yeah, think about those beautiful pieces of papers that you hold. But for next 20 years or 30 years, and I believe most of them will go on-chain. There will be on-chain education certificates. Yeah, so the paper still keeps them, but you will hold an on-chain certificate. And what is the advantage of decentralized storage? So the whole world record and see that you get your certificates. That is the advantage of decentralized storage in terms of education. And so is the same for other industrials. All the beautiful articles, videos, or other forms of contents generated by our humans will be recorded and kept forever and shared by everyone. And that's the charm, in my terms, of the decentralized storage. Yeah, that's my point.
Well, I guess to continue on that, you know, I guess we're going to move on to from what you were saying, UDL, right? Like I think this kind of fits into that. So the question is, how do you perceive the emerging atomic NFTs and UDL license, right? That's the first question. So how do you perceive that one?
Yeah, it's a great question. So, you know, for over 30 years now, content has been growing on the internet, and it's huge amounts of data. I kind of see the UDL and the ability to publish permanently your data to create provenance and clear clear rights to how and what kind of value you get when you use that content. NFTs, atomic assets, but also other kinds of content, because if you start to distribute the content permanently on Arweave, then you start to set up the ability for knowledge to grow and compose. And the more composable knowledge, the more people that can derive content and add their 2 cents or their 2U, the better the content gets and the more value it has to the community.
Do you want to tell us what UDL means, just in case, you know, some people don't know?
Yeah, we're great at coming up with a lot of initials that are super confusing. So Universal Data License is a license that is legally bound. So when you upload your content, you can specify this is the license and here's the rights to use it. You can use it to access either restricted or free. You can say the commercial use is allowed for a one-time payment and choose the currency for payment. So basically you can create a contract with future consumers of your content on day one.
Pierre?
Yeah. So, if I remember correctly, I think that the first time when Forward Research hinted about UDL was here last year.
I think so, actually, yeah.
And yeah, I consider it pretty huge back then. And now I think that it's even bigger than consider it last year. Because if you look back in time, 20 years ago, the internet and the content that was available on the internet was mostly created by let's say, well-known registered artists or big content outlets like movies and so on. But right now, it appears that the huge size of the content that is created on the internet is actually created by individuals. And back then, the big companies were able to create their own licenses and to enforce them. And this somehow introduced in the mind of the usual people that, intellectual property is bad because it's usually guarding the interest of the big ones. But UDL, it's actually trying to defend the interest of the usual guy on the net that is trying to basically create his own content and to monetize it on his own terms. Right now, if you're looking on Twitter, X, or whatever, Elon is treating the content from the platform as like his property. And I don't know, probably he's some sort right from a legal perspective, I don't know. But we all are contributing there with our content. And it will be decent to be recognized that our little tweet is our creation, basically.
I agree with that. Troy, I see you nodding there. You want to add
Yeah.
on to that?
Yeah, I think we definitely need something in the market for that. Like I want to share one story. I have a friend who is very new to Web3, and once he asked me, "Hey Troy, I heard there was an NFT looks like a monkey, like an ape. Is it super expensive?" I said, "Yeah, it's probably the most expensive NFT there." But why I have so many friends? They're like a social avatar with a monkey, like looks like that. I don't think I have know so many rich friends. And I say, yeah, but owning NFT doesn't prevent that picture to be used in other places. He said, wow, I thought it was something that's already being fixed by inventing an NFT. It's actually building a digital existence of ownership of the digital art or something like that. I say, well, we don't have that actually. But probably I think is at the time now the NFT, all the social, all the kind of the digital arts, we're now coming to a stage where you just own an ID of something. You don't own, the NFT is not just an ID. It's actually connected with how the art or how the content is used in the web or probably other spaces. So I think this is a great time. We're more and more people were seeing the importance of adopting the UDL or other use cases. not just on buying an ID in in some like a chain. And also, like, I want to share more from the Readon's perspective. Like, Readon is a content aggregator that we have 400,000 users already. Like, we talk with content creators all the time. We want to ask them to create content on Readon platforms. And we do provide the tools, like we can make their content on-chain to store them permanently. But once we talk with the content creators on the traditional Web2 space, they actually lose interest. Like, why I want to store my content on chain? Why I don't want to? Why I want to use that? So we don't have a great like way to persuade them. Like all this ideology we talked today is kind of very hard for the Web2 content creator to get. But there's a one thing we find to make it work is called copyright. It's actually a term I mentioned earlier. Like I say, once you store your content on chain, store permanently. If other people actually copy the same content from you, we can detect that. And if you store this in like a private or some like a website, they cannot do it in a global way. So I think probably something around the utility of the content can be implemented with UDL, and I think we can build great things with that.
Yeah, hopefully UDL does get, start being adopted by more and more projects. That would be really good to see on the Permaweb. Have any comments on that?
Yeah, sure. So just as I said, when you issue education certificates, the UDL can make sure that it's your education certs other than other people's, right? So it helps not only keep the track of the authors who create this article, these videos, it can also put into other use, just like the education industry, that keeps the education, make sure it's yours and avoid any scammers. Yeah, basically, we can find out more use of that because UDL is quite flexible. You can add any future contract with the people who are able to use it, right? That's it. And that's also the core concept of Web3. People own your data. People can tell how other people use your data. So I think UDL is a great invention.
Oh, Tom, did you hear that?
Yeah, still some more work to do, but yeah, that's a great step forward. I totally agree.
Yeah, it's a great step forward. Hopefully, hopefully we do see it being used more, like I said before. And I will go on to a final question here. So DeFi, so decentralized finance, just in case I think everyone knows what DeFi is renowned, for its composability, and providing users with a wide range of choices. So in Arweave's context, the data will data as well have composability. How does composability impact the development of Permaweb and content collaboration? Pierre?
Okay, so I would say that data is way more composable than DeFi and way more versatile. I mean, with DeFi, you can do, your basic trades and stuff. But data itself can actually use the same data set and create new content. And I don't know if here are the guys from Data OS.
No, they're not here, unfortunately. Not
Yeah.
today.
They have this beautiful concept of basically trying to reinvent the already existing data set by applying different filters and getting different insights with the help of AI from Arweave's data set. And I think that in the future, you will see the Arweave data set as one of probably the top data sets that will be used for training AI, because right now I think that is the most affordable. If you're looking into the cost of accessing an API for basically any other data set, it's quite high. The Arweave dataset is open. You can access for free the Arweave gateways, and you even can introduce data for free due to bundler, you know, because under 100 kilobytes, I think all the transactions are
Yeah.
free. So this alone will let us not only to be composable, but to thrive from this composability that it's innately linked with Arweave.
Tom, I saw you, nodding, agreeing with him. You want to add some comments to that one?
Absolutely. One of the things that I focus on and think about all the time, especially dealing with data, is protocols. And one of the keys to composability in my mind is having common, reusable, complete protocols that really help discover the data, help to classify the data in terms of the universal data license, and help to trade the data by being able to attach contracts, smart weave contracts to the data so that it can reach as far and broad as possible. And I think that's one of the, kind of key differentiators between Arweave is it contains this ability to attach tags and define data protocols. And encourage all builders to go and check specs.arweave.dev to just dig into that, because I think it will provide a huge advantage to understanding the data, not now, 10 years from now, 100 years from now.
Troy?
I want to talk about composability from a cross-chain perspective. Like, I think there are two technical challenges we're probably to do when we talk about cross-chain composability on Arweave. Like, first one is EVM compatibility. Like, for example, the greatest reason I use Everpay to actually use in the service I use is we use EVM as our main address. We use main asset service. Like, but in the traditional, like the Arweave's like API, we kind of have to use a direct like an AR to pay the fee and use AR address to do that. But with like all procs like idea or the API, we can directly with like solve in the EVM's idea. And but the payment's only one thing, but there's also not a how to say there's not like an official mapping or official way to people kind of to bridge their EVM address and then link to their Arweave address and how to do that. I think there's something we can probably we can try to work it out as a community to see how to better migration for people with already EVM like experiences, how to better Arweave. That's the first thing. And the second thing is on the probability data availability DA layer. Like, for example, like Redon has its own app chain, and I think it kind of makes sense for like data-heavy apps to kind of work on their own app chain. And if some of the data is already stored on Arweave, then how we can migrate or use the data, but use the data on the app chain, but make it, I mean, like have the data on Arweave, but make it available to use on their app chain or on other chain. Like a standardized like a DA layer or a Oracle service that kind of bridge the AR data to the app chain or other chain. That's something will also help the composability of Arweave as well. So that's just two technical problems.
Yeah, so for me as an engineer, we handle different data source. Like some of users' education records from EVM compatible chains, and some of them are from other chains. And we need to make them standardized. And so some people are get certification from one studio, and some of them get from another. And we think from this point, we need to give them the same protocol, and we need to standardize them. And that's a real challenge we face during our engineering progress. And we think if we store all of them on Arweave and in a standardized style, so we can solve this problem easily. And yeah, that's some real situation we met.
All right, thank you for all your insight. That was the last question I had for you. Do you have any final thoughts before we wrap this little panel up? Pierre, you want to start?
Yeah, just keep building, and Arweave will definitely outlive us, but let's leave a nice heritage, I suppose. I don't know.
I mean, we are the pioneers, like Tom said, right? You call yourself a pioneer, right?
That's right. I'm proud to say I'm a Permaweb pioneer. Yeah. Yeah, and again, I think we're all building not for just today, but the future. And I think without the Permaweb, the future looks very different. So I hope everyone keeps building. And to some of your questions, there's a paper out from the Warp team called Teleport that does describe a potential solution to create bridges between Arweave data and other chain assets. So I think there's a bounty out there for that as well.
Yeah, hopefully you can see that happening one day. Any final comments?
Yeah, I just like very happy to be here. In the morning, I learn all the new updates on Arweave. I just hear we have better channels to learn all the cool things happen on Arweave. Like as early as possible. I don't have to wait 1 year like to know Tom, to know what's happened on UDL. Probably there's a better channel, better way we can share the new development and let our developers kind of join the community as soon as possible.
Yeah, that would be great. Caesar?
Yes. So personally, I really love the idea of building modern Alexander library. Yeah. So for till today, we can see Arweave is on its way, and we can store any beautiful articles, cultures in any form, like videos, audios, text on Arweave decentralized storage. So I'm really excited in this area, and we are all pioneers, and we can make miracles together.
Thank you very much, guys. A round of applause for this beautiful panel.